Hello, Amanda here with day 4 of Christy's Beautiful Life 31 Days of Sketches in October of 2022, and our sketch came from Cherly Ashcraft, as you saw on the last screen, and it's just beautiful. I have these photos. It's actually going to end up being a 2-page spread in my album, but the left side that I'm focusing on today with Cheryl's sketch is kind of the decorations of my parents' house for our first Christmas as a married couple, and to go ahead and try to emulate that chevron that she has going across the page. As I was matting the photos, I had these leftover stitched frame pieces because I just went ahead and cut the frames with a die cut to do the matting on the photos, and I thought I would use those as the chevron behind the pictures. And first I'm just deciding how I want to integrate the pictures together. I'm using this beautiful paper from Close to My Heart called Christmas Story. It just came out October 1st. It's beautiful. It has, for me, I like the traditional Christmas colors, especially with these older photos. I also enjoy the blues or the purples or the newer more modern Christmas feel sometimes, but I think for these photos, this paper pack Christmas Story is just going to be perfect. So I've used both the Scarlet and the Harbor frames for matting my photos because I think those were the colors from the paper pack that worked best with my pictures. And then I'm just trying to see. At first I was thinking I would do every other row, and then I thought, oh, that's just going to be a little busy. So then I started with the Scarlet, and now I'm using 2 rows of the Harbor. And I won't make you watch me do all this and glue them all down, but I'm just kind of trying to show how you can use pieces parts and how I cut those frames apart. I will end up using a T-square ruler to make sure that they go across the page correctly. And I watched I was watching somebody else do a chevron recently, and they just cut strips of paper and then you just lay them over top of each other, and it was like, oh, that's so easy to make a chevron that way. So I think next time I have to do a chevron, that's what I will be doing. But for now, I'm just using the pieces. And going back to my color, I thought I'd start with Scarlet and then do 2 rows of Harbor and then go back to Scarlet, and I'll see here that it's just too busy. So what I'll end up doing is I will do 3 rows of Harbor encapsulated by a row of Scarlet on the top and bottom. And that to me just, it's like, okay, now my blood pressure comes down. I feel like that's just the right thing. I don't know if you guys get that when you scrapbook, that you don't realize you're anxious or it just isn't settling right with you. And as soon as you put the right cardstock behind a photo, it's like all of a sudden your body relaxes. It's like, oh yeah, this is it. This is the feeling of sitting in that most comfortable chair. So here is the new T-square ruler from Close to My Heart. It's brilliant. It has magnetic, so for storage or travel it's great. It's sturdy, and it also has piercing holes that you can incorporate some stitching. So what I thought I would do is I had this die. It's actually a leaf die, or it's part of a leaf die set. And as I was looking through my dies to get the frames for my photos, I saw it and I was like, oh, I wonder if I put 2 of those together, if I could make kind of a fun little Christmas tree. And that's exactly what I did. So using the papers from the Christmas Story paper pack, I cut 2 for each tree that I want to do, and then I'm inking the edges with the pine ink. And just, I take the sponge dauber, I think it's called the blending tool. I like the sponge better than the brush, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So here I crimped each of the edges along those leaves, and then I'm just going to offset it. So I'm going to raise the one in the front just a little bit higher so that those branches kind of intersperse. And to me, I love it. I think it looks like a nice Christmas tree effect. You could put ornaments dangling from it if you want. So off camera I did the rest of these. You can see the plaid, and then there's the gray paper that I think is the back side of the plaid, and we have the speckled pine paper, and then on the back of that is, it doesn't really show up on camera, but it's a dark charcoal or black base to the paper with pattern on it. And then I did one because I had enough leftovers from the Harbor cardstock where I'd cut my frames, so I did one tree out of the Harbor cardstock there. And it's funny, the plainness of the cardstock is really kind of messing with me. It's like, oh, I want more interest like the plaid trees and the other ones from using that pattern paper. And I apologize, I was wearing a hat the day that I created this layout. It was one of those, I had fallen asleep with wet hair, and instead of trying to mess with it, it was a hat day. I wasn't planning on leaving the house, so my family has seen me, much worse than in a hat. And because I was really happy with the placement of how these trees came together, I went ahead and just pick them up and glue them right in place. And that for me is a lifesaver. I know with real fussy bits, people have used the cling, the Glad press and seal, and that kind of can pick up a whole jumble. Now off camera, I went to my Cricut. Well, off camera first, I went to my scrapbooking supply closet and I pulled out some Christmas stamps, and then I decided that I wanted to use some tags. I have another project coming up for Twisted Sister on Sunday that I'm going to need some tags, so I went ahead and just cut on the Cricut in both linen cardstock and in white daisy these tags, and then this Christmas, Merry Christmas tag will end up becoming the title for this stamp set. So I went ahead and stamped those, and then I cut out of gold foil paper some snowflakes. Part of the story of this layout and its companion layout for the right side is that my husband and I both wanted to spend Christmas with our families, and so his family lived about 4.5 hours away, and so we went up there earlier before Christmas and spent Christmas Day with them, and then on the 26th we were going to drive back downstate and spend the day after Christmas opening gifts with my family. And my brother had driven up from North Carolina with his wife, and they decided to wait and to have Christmas when we arrived, so that was pretty cool. But a Michigan snowstorm in Gaylord, which is a city between where Gerald's parents were and where my parents lived, caused us to be delayed by a full day. So I had to add some snowflakes onto this layout. And I did try to type up the story and put it on vellum so that I could have it as part of this layout. And I don't know if you saw, but my printer is really struggling. It would only print the little center of the words that I had typed up. So instead I have spent yesterday and today running the nozzle cleaning, the head cleaning on the printer, and I think I finally have it right. So now I just need to go get another piece of vellum and add this to the layout. And in a worst case scenario, if that doesn't work, I am going to go ahead and stick my story onto a tag and slip it in behind the photo so that it can just be pulled out as a tag. And these are pieces that were left over from the trees that I cut, and so I just kind of salvaged the bigger pieces that I could and thought I would tuck them in again to give a balance of the pattern across the page. I'm trying to decide where I want to put these little tickets. They were just fun embellishments, and on Cheryl's sketch she has some of those layered elements underneath her title and photo spot, and I thought that I would honor the sketch by including some of that, so that's what I was doing here with these tickets. And I'm just trying to find different ways to kind of tuck in paper, kind of get that balance between the patterns on the trees and under our tags, create that layering effect that is from the sketch. I'm making sure that all of those elements are glued down fully. I do a lot of that off camera before I put my layout into the page protector, and I put my layouts in page protectors until they're ready to go into albums. With our moving, and also recently I'm changing how I'm looking at my albums because I was getting frustrated of trying to find the right time that we went to this event with people, and so I'm changing my albums into themes. So right now I have a whole stack of pages that are in protectors that are being sorted into themes. And that is what's working for me. Here I'm just finishing up by adding some glue, like I said, to underneath the snowflakes and to make sure the trees are glued down. I will be adding my journaling to this in the future once my printer starts working. So I think that does it for today. I love how this layout turned out. I will be doing posts on Tuesday, Fridays, and Sundays. On Sundays, I have, like, this Sunday is Twisted Sister, the next Sunday is Makers with Heart, so a whole different project there. Here's how you can connect with me on social media. If you have not subscribed to my channel, go ahead and press that red button if you like what you see and you don't want to miss any videos. I hope you have a wonderful week. Be kind to one another. Be a blessing. Bye-bye.